The feud between Shaq and Dwight Howard reached a boiling point. In this situation, I'm in Dwight Howard's side because for so many years, Shaq has been publicly critical of Dwight Howard. And this basically all started when Dwight Howard put out the whole Superman thing in the 2008 Slam Dunk contest, I believe it was. I don't know if it was 2007 or 2008. And Shaq, during his playing time, he was known, one of his nicknames was Superman. So he probably felt that Dwight Howard was stealing from him or trying to be like him. But whatever the situation is, it was getting too ridiculous. Shaq was being way too overcritical. He's usually way too critical and comes across as insecure when it comes to talking about other big men. So he has bashed Dwight Howard. He has bashed Rudy Gobert. And it's sad because Shaq accomplished so much in his career in the NBA and even life after the NBA with his business ventures and all these businesses that he owns. He's basically set for life. So the fact that he accomplished so much and is doing so much and he is still basically hating and not analyzing the game when it comes to other big men is just crazy. Yes, he's a jokester, and at times, he says things that are funny, but when you constantly nitpick and nitpick and nitpick on someone, then that person becomes the butt of the jokes. People start viewing that person differently. JaVale McGee had his problem with Shaq, and now Dwight Howard finally has had enough. And I'm gonna put here a little short exchange that they had on Twitter between Shaq and Dwight Howard. I'm not gonna say word by word what each one of them said, so I'm gonna paraphrase certain things. Shaq basically told Dwight that the fact that Dwight thinks that he cares about him or thinks about him is blasphemous. So he's not gonna mention his name because Dwight Howard, a person who jokes around, he's too sensitive, blah, blah, blah. But Shaq is way more sensitive than Dwight Howard. I mean, if you watch Inside the NBA, when Charles Barkley gets at him, he gets defensive easily. And the only thing that he can use against Charles Barkley is, oh, I have 4 rings, you have none. That's the only argument that he uses against Charles Barkley. So Dwight Howard, when he responded to whatever Shaq was saying, because Shaq and Dwight Howard, they both write, based on what I saw on Twitter, X whatever, but I still say Twitter, they basically write like if they're in high school. Like, it's not proper grammar, it's slang. I mean, crazy. But Dwight Howard was telling him that I still have a direct message that you wrote to me saying that I'm not that great for you to worry. And Dwight Howard went on to say that Shaq has always been jealous. He's been jealous of Penny, Kobe, D Wade, even Barkley. He went super full mode in, and that put a smile on my face. And I applaud Dwight Howard for finally standing up and say what he had to say. Because, okay, for example, 30 for 30, this magic moment, which had to do with the mid-90s great Orlando Magic team with Shaq and Penny. During the 95-96 season, if you watch the documentary, if you think and you watch very carefully, it did come across that Shaq was getting jealous of Penny because Penny was reaching a level of success and level of popularity that was making Shaq uncomfortable. And Brian Shaw in the documentary said that Shaq needed to feel that he was the man of the team. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That it was an ego thing, but it didn't surprise me that if he was jealous of Penny. I could say that, yeah, Kobe definitely. I could definitely see there was some jealousy with Kobe. And even with D Wade, even though he had no problems with D Wade, but he did have some many problems with Pat Riley, but I think Gary Payne said in an interview or something like that he had told Shaq that, you gotta let Dwayne Wade, let him be, like let him take the keys, to the promised land. I think it was Gary Payne, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit, you know? It didn't surprise me one bit. I think that Shaq, like I said, could be very insecure. He gives you the impression that he could be insecure. He could be jealous of another person's success, another person's shine. And it's sad because that means you don't have no peace. And Shaq doesn't have any peace because again, he has accomplished so much, but look what he does. You're 52 years old and you act like a man child. So I'm glad that Dwight Howard said something that put a smile on my face because, he has a family, so people are gonna be seeing this and they're gonna look at him like, yo, are you just gonna let him keep nitpicking you, keep bullying you and stuff like that? So when one player criticizes another player publicly over and over and over and over and over again, it's not just the player that are gonna see it, but also their family and friends as well. So it connects in so many dots. I don't know Shaq personally. I don't know Dwight Howard personally. I've seen Dwight Howard in person do this humongous tall. And this was during his peak with the Orlando Magic. I don't know none of these guys. Shaq, I respect what he's done in his career, but I'm not a fan of him. I'm not. I do think that he is one of the most overrated players in NBA history. Again, he has accomplished so much in the NBA. I like the fact where he accomplished more life outside of the NBA, meaning from a business standpoint. But when I see him going back and forth with Barkley in certain situations that is very tense, when I see him criticizing Dwight Howard and all these other big men and not giving them their full credit, Nikola Jokic, the Joker, when he won the MVP last year, I did not like what he said to Nikola when he won the MVP. He said, congratulations, but I felt like SGA should have won it. So I can't take his opinion seriously. And again, I'm just happy that Dwight Howard says something. And hopefully things end right here and it doesn't escalate to something more serious because supposedly Dwight Howard was willing to go to TNT Studios and confront Shaq. So hopefully it doesn't get into any physical altercation. Both men are grown, they have families, so let's just leave it at that. But I'm not a fan of bullying or cyberbullying. I just don't like bullies, period. And Shaq can come across as that numerous times.